Okay, long time no see. This is Grandpa. If you watched one of my last two videos, you should recognize him. He is a black mouth cur, and he's only with me for a few days, so I just want to do a quick touch-up and also just to see what he remembers. So this is kind of a training session where I kind of want to challenge him, where I might be going around the room, building distance from him and just seeing how well he holds his commands, but he is a dog that generally has a pretty gentle demeanor, so I feel like he'll do a pretty good job. He is not wearing the crown collar right now, but I don't really need to give him leash guidance. From what I can tell, he definitely does things when I just say them. So I'm going to find his working level first, just to see the lowest level he'll perceive it at. I'm going to start at like a 6. I think he does well, not so much for that one. I'm going to try 10. Okay, 10 is, I'll go down a little bit. He definitely feels 9. Okay, I'm going to go down to an 8 just to see, because we want him to feel it, but make sure that it's not at a level that bothers him. All right. Good. Move around a bit, get him moving. I don't really like to do a command right off the bat when they are stationary or have been for a bit. Down. Good boy. All right, let's try. Nope. Good. Build distance. Good. Good boy. I'm going to touch the leash. Very good. Some dogs get triggered by the leash thinking that it's time for release. He's a big boy, so I always have to keep that in mind because I'm someone that moves very quick around, and for bigger dogs it's hard for them to turn around or to move quickly at times. So, sit. Good boy. Good job. Sit will be challenging in my house, so I'm not going to ask for him to hold it for too long because it's very slippery for him. So I don't want to ask him to hold for too long. Very good. Down. Good boy. Good. We throw some cats at him. Throw some cats at him. Throw a kitten at him. We throw a little kitten at him. Over here. Runs away. Good job. Good boy. That's very good. All right, we do a lot. All right, we're back in frame. One thing I do want to mention, because it's one of the smaller aspects of training. Ooh. Actually, if he stayed on the wheel, I would have asked him to do a command. It's an additional distraction to test your dog when it comes to obedience. But one thing that's very important during training sessions outside of when we're doing commands is, well, let's try this. Down. Good. See how he reacted very slowly to that? So let me try to explain what just happened. Cat started going on wheel. He got distracted, looked over. I said down. He ignored it. I held down continuous at an 8. And he ignored it. So I dialed up, and we're at a 12 now. I don't know if you could tell earlier, but you saw him turn his head a little bit because he started to feel it more. So those are the types of things that you have to be very fluid at reacting to. If you see that your dog is ignoring your commands, then you need to dial up on the remote immediately to catch their attention. You don't want to wait too long because then it will have less of an impact. So that was good. Good boy. So what I was trying to say earlier was that in between commands, I always get up and I move him around, because if we stay in this exact spot, sit down the whole time, it's just weird for a dog, right? And movement makes them feel more natural, I would say. So one aspect that I always include during my board and trains and just training in general is teaching the dog to yield to you. And that's very important because when he first arrived, he was extremely pushy. And the thing is, I had experience with him before where I know that he is capable of being a really great and gentle dog. I saw it for the one day that I had him last year, where once you kind of show him that these are the rules and you have to abide by them, he yields to you and he starts behaving very well. So he was pulling a lot when he first arrived. And on this collar without a prong, that was very hard for me to handle. I'm a small person. He's a big dog. He's way bigger than Riley is. So once I started like using e-collar a bit more and making it very clear what kind of rules we have in the house, he was better behaved. But going back to my original point, whenever I'm moving around with him in between commands, he must stay next to me or behind me. He can never walk in front of me. If he walks in front of me, I would be using the leash to guide him back, or maybe some e-collar to get his attention that that's not what is allowed. So when we are doing the laps and walking around, he is staying behind me or next to me. He can't be rushing forward. And those small little moments help the dog to pay more attention to you and for them to respect your authority, you know? Good job. Sit. Good boy. Good job. Look at that sliding. He's leaning into the affection. Good boy. Drop. Very good. Down. Good boy. I wanted to make a comment on what just happened also. So previously, Cat was over here distracting him, and I stated that I moved up to a 12 on the e-collar because he wasn't listening and I needed to catch his attention back. Just now, when I stated the command, I made sure to dial back down if he ignored me. That way, I wasn't still trying to get him to do the command on the 12. Because the 12 was when he was distracted. Now that he's not distracted, there's no reason to use that number anymore unless he shows me he needs a higher number. You know what I mean? So you have to dial your numbers up and down depending on the current scenario. So for example, if Cat was over here again and I had asked him to do the down, I would have left the number higher, anticipating perhaps him being distracted. But since there's nothing going on right now and he was staring directly at me, there was no need for the higher number, and I dialed back down to make sure that the number was fair for the amount of alertness he was giving me. Hopefully that makes sense. Great. Good boy. Okay, that was a very, very brief and short session, but honestly, he's showing really good behavior. He's holding his obedience commands when I walk around the room. Sometimes when you build distance from a dog, it's very easy for them to be like, oh, I want to follow you. And normally that's not a bad thing, right? Because during board and trains, okay, see, he's like pushing his body into me. That's not always a good thing. But during board and trains, I pretty much ensure the dog is always next to me. So him wanting to follow is a natural instinct, but when we're doing obedience training, that is teaching them the whole like, make sure you hold it, no matter if something's going on, there's noise, whatever. But this guy loves his water. So for a good training session, we are going to reward him with a lot of water.